Ever considered how much of your decision-making might be based on emotions rather than rational reasoning? It's a provocative thought, isn't it? Most of us like to believe that we're rational beings, that our decisions are made from a place of logic and reason. However, Robert Greene, in his book The Laws of Human Nature, suggests otherwise. He introduces us to the law of irrationality. This principle asserts that our decisions, more often than not, are driven by our emotions. Yes, you heard it right. Those gut feelings, that instinctual pull, the joy, the fear, the anger, the excitement, all these emotions play a significant role in our decision-making process. Now, this doesn't mean that emotions are bad. They are, after all, a fundamental part of the human experience. However, problems arise when these emotions cloud our judgment, leading us to make decisions that may not be in our best interest. We've all had those moments, haven't we? That hasty response in anger, that impulsive purchase out of excitement, that avoidance of a challenging task due to fear. These are all instances of emotional decision-making, so how do we counteract this? Greene suggests a few strategies. First, we need to become aware of our emotional impulses. We need to recognize when our emotions are taking the wheel and learn to pause, to step back, and to reflect. This self-awareness is the first step towards more rational decision-making. Second, we need to engage in critical thinking. This means questioning our assumptions, analyzing the situation from different angles, and making decisions based on evidence and logic rather than on emotional impulses. Finally, Greene recommends engaging in dialogue with others. By discussing our thoughts and feelings with people who may have different perspectives, we can gain a more comprehensive understanding of the situation. This can help us to make more balanced and rational decisions. In the end, the law of irrationality teaches us that while emotions are an integral part of our lives, they should not dictate our decisions. By acknowledging our emotional impulses, we can develop a more balanced viewpoint. Narcissism is a common trait, but have you ever wondered how it impacts our relationships? Robert Greene posits that understanding narcissism can empower us to better navigate our interactions with others and manage our self-esteem. Narcissism at its core is an excessive interest in oneself or one's physical appearance. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's a universal trait, something that we all possess to some degree. We all have a desire to feel special, to stand out, to be appreciated. This is the core of narcissism, and it can be quite healthy when balanced with empathy and consideration for others. However, when this self-interest becomes excessive and starts to diminish others, it can lead to unhealthy relationships and a distorted self-image. This is where the concept of high-level narcissism comes into play. High-level narcissism is about building self-worth without diminishing others. It's about recognizing and appreciating our own value, but also acknowledging the value of those around us. Developing high-level narcissism requires empathy, a fundamental ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Empathy allows us to see beyond our own perspective, to acknowledge the needs and desires of others. It helps us to build and maintain healthier relationships, as we're not just focused on our own needs and desires, but are also considering those of others. In this light, narcissism is not a trait to be shunned or feared, but rather understood and managed. It's about finding a balance between self-interest and empathy, between acknowledging our own worth and the worth of others. By understanding this balance, we can foster healthier relationships, both with ourselves and with others. So, the next time you're interacting with someone, remember to take a moment to consider their perspective. Acknowledge their needs and desires just as you would your own. And in doing so, you'll not only be nurturing healthier relationships, but also cultivating a healthier sense of self. Understanding narcissism can help us foster healthier relationships. We all wear social masks, but are you aware of the roles people play and why? It's a fascinating question, isn't it? In our daily interactions, we all play various roles, consciously or unconsciously, to fit into different social situations. These roles are much like costumes in a theatrical production, each designed to project a certain image or persona to the world. Robert Greene, in his book The Laws of Human Nature, calls this the law of role-playing. He suggests that understanding these roles and the motivations behind them can lead to more authentic interactions. But how does this work, you might ask? Well, let's start by acknowledging that we all have certain expectations and norms to fulfill in society. These expectations guide our behaviors and shape the roles we play. For instance, you might play the role of a caring parent, a dedicated employee, or a reliable friend, depending on the situation. These roles are not necessarily a bad thing. They help us navigate our social world and provide a sense of order and predictability. However, it's essential to remember that these roles are not the entirety of who we are. They are just parts of our complex and multifaceted identity. And sometimes, these roles can become restrictive, preventing us from expressing our true selves. This is where the law of role-playing comes in. Greene encourages us to become aware of these roles, not only in ourselves but also in others. This awareness allows us to see beyond the masks people wear and understand their genuine emotions, needs, and motivations. It enables us to empathize with others on a deeper level and respond more authentically to their actions. But it's not just about understanding others. It's also about being true to ourselves. By acknowledging and embracing the roles we play, we can choose to break free from the ones that no longer serve us and redefine our identities in more authentic and fulfilling ways. So, the next time you find yourself in a social situation, take a moment to observe the roles at play. Try to understand the motivations behind them, and remember, being aware of the roles we and others play can lead to more genuine interactions. Did you know that people's actions are often predictable based on their character? This is the essence of Robert Greene's fourth law from his book, The Laws of Human Nature, which he refers to as the law of compulsive behavior. Let's start by considering what we mean by compulsive behavior. It's those ingrained, automatic actions that we all tend to repeat, driven by our deep-seated traits. These traits, whether they're our temperament, our values, or our personal history, shape our behaviors over time. They're like tracks in the snow that we've walked along so many times that we automatically follow them without thinking. But here's the remarkable thing about these tracks. They're not just visible in the snow, they're visible in our past actions too. By studying these past actions, we can predict future ones. If someone has a history of being late, for instance, it's likely they will be late again in the future. If they've consistently shown integrity in their dealings, it's reasonable to expect that they will continue to do so. This predictive nature of compulsive behavior isn't just a curiosity. It's a powerful tool that we can use strategically in our personal and professional relationships. If we understand someone's compulsive behaviors, we can anticipate their actions and reactions. We can tailor our interactions to harmonize with their traits, helping to foster more positive and productive relationships. But this isn't just about understanding others. It's also about understanding ourselves. By recognizing our own compulsive behaviors, we can start to see our own tracks in the snow. We can understand why we act the way we do, and if necessary, we can work to change those patterns. So remember, our actions are not random. They're shaped by our character, by our deep-seated traits. By studying these traits in ourselves and in others, we can predict and influence future actions. This is the power of the law of compulsive behavior. Understanding the compulsive behaviors of others and ourselves can improve our personal and professional relationships. Do you often find yourself wanting what others have? This question brings us to the fifth law of human nature, according to Robert Greene, the law of covetousness. It's a law that revolves around our innate desires, our longing for what we don't have, and the envy that often follows. Desire is a powerful force. It's a motivator, a driver, a fuel that can push us to strive for more. But it can also lead us down a path of envy. Envy, in its raw form, is a feeling of discontented or resentful longing aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. It's that pang you feel when you see someone with something you wish you had. But here's the thing, desire and envy can be tamed. How? Through contentment and focus. Contentment isn't about settling for less, but rather appreciating more of what you already have. It's about taking a moment to look around and realize that you have enough, that you are enough. It's about shifting your focus from what others have to what you have and cherishing it. Focusing on what you possess rather than what you lack can redirect your energy from envy to gratitude. This shift not only brings personal peace but also radiates a positive aura that others can sense. When you're content and grateful, you become less threatening and more cooperative in the eyes of others, which can mitigate their potential envy towards you. But let's be clear, this isn't about suppressing your desires or ambitions. It's about balancing them with a healthy dose of contentment and gratitude. It's about understanding that while it's okay to strive for more, it's also important to appreciate what you already have. Strategic positioning also comes into play here. By presenting yourself as cooperative and non-threatening, you can reduce the chances of arousing envy in others. It's about being mindful of how your actions and achievements are perceived. and taking steps to ensure they don't breed resentment or envy. So the next time you find yourself longing for what others have, remember the law of covetousness. By fostering contentment and focusing on what we have, we can mitigate feelings of envy. Have you ever made a decision without considering the long-term consequences? This is a question that brings us to the law of short-sightedness, one of the 18 laws Robert Greene propounds in his book, The Laws of Human Nature. To understand short-sightedness, imagine an archer who's so focused on hitting the nearest target that they fail to notice the larger, more rewarding target in the distance. This is exactly what short-sightedness in our decision-making process looks like. It's when we let immediate goals or concerns cloud our judgment, leading to impulsive decisions and missed opportunities. Short-sightedness can be quite deceptive. Immediate gains and quick fixes can be tempting, and they often give us the illusion of progress. But the truth is, they might be roadblocks in disguise, steering us away from our long-term objectives. Now, this doesn't mean that short-term goals are bad. They can indeed be stepping stones towards our long-term goals. The key is to ensure that these short-term objectives align with our long-term vision. This brings us to the importance of long-term thinking and strategic planning. Long-term thinking is like equipping ourselves with a compass that always points towards our ultimate destination. It ensures that our short-term decisions are not just reactions to immediate stimuli, but are well-thought-out steps towards a larger goal. Strategic planning, on the other hand, is the roadmap that guides us to our destination. It involves considering the wider implications of our actions, evaluating different paths, and choosing the one that best aligns with our long-term goals. Both long-term thinking and strategic planning require foresight and patience. Foresight allows us to anticipate future scenarios and prepare for them. Patience, on the other hand, helps us resist the lure of immediate gratification and stay committed to our long-term vision. So, the next time you find yourself faced with a decision, pause and consider the long-term implications. Ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my long-term goals? Remember, short-sightedness might offer immediate rewards, but long-term thinking paves the way for sustainable success. Developing foresight and patience through long-term thinking can lead to better decision-making. Have you noticed how people naturally resist criticism and change? This is a universal phenomenon, and it's at the heart of the law of defensiveness, one of the insightful principles from Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature. Defensiveness is an instinctive response. It's our brain's way of protecting us from perceived threats. But here's the catch. It's not always helpful. In fact, it often gets in the way of our growth and learning. When we're defensive, we tend to shut out the very feedback that could help us improve. We resist change, even when it could lead to better outcomes. But the good news is, we can work through this, and the key lies in understanding and managing our defensiveness. First, let's look at criticism. Nobody likes being told they're wrong or that they need to change. But the way criticism is delivered can make a huge difference. Tactful criticism, wrapped in understanding and respect, is far more likely to be accepted. It's about approaching the person with empathy and focusing on the behavior or issue at hand rather than attacking the person's character. Next, we have the concept of common goals. When we share a common goal with someone, it creates a sense of unity, a feeling that we're in this together. This can help to lower defenses. So when giving feedback or suggesting change, try to frame it within the context of a shared objective. For instance, if you're in a team and you need to address a colleague's behavior, you might say something like, "We're all working towards the same goal here, and I believe that if we adjust our approach in this way, it could really help our progress." Finally, it's about complementing the good while addressing the not so good. This helps to disarm defenses and makes the person more receptive to the feedback. Understanding defensiveness can lead to smoother interpersonal interactions and more effective communication. And remember, it's not about winning or losing, but about growing and learning together. Are you aware of how internal conflicts can lead to self-destructive behavior? This is a question we should all ask ourselves as we navigate the intricacies of our personal and professional lives. You see, self-sabotage is a complex concept, often rooted in fear, doubt, and other internal resistances. It's like an unseen enemy within us, undermining our efforts to grow and succeed. We might fear failure or success, doubt our abilities, or resist change, and these internal battles can manifest in ways that hinder our progress. But here's the good news. We can overcome these internal resistances. It starts with recognizing these self-imposed barriers. By acknowledging our fears and doubts, We can confront them head-on, challenge their validity, and gradually dismantle them. This process fosters personal growth, allowing us to break free from the shackles of self-sabotage. It empowers us to take control of our lives and steer it towards success. Recognizing our internal resistances can help us achieve our true potential. We've discussed several laws of human nature. Let's recap. We've embarked on an enlightening journey through Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature, elucidating 18 crucial principles that shape our actions, emotions, and interactions. Beginning with the law of irrationality, we've recognized the power of emotions and their often unseen influence on our decisions. Through critical thinking and open dialogue, we can cultivate more balanced perspectives and discern our emotional biases. Moving on to the law of narcissism, we discovered that narcissism, when understood and managed, can be a tool for self-improvement and healthier relationships. Developing empathy and high-level narcissism allows us to recognize and respect others' needs and desires. The law of role-playing reminds us that everyone wears social masks. By discerning these roles and their underlying motivations, we can navigate social situations more effectively and authentically. The law of compulsive behavior taught us that people's actions are often predictable based on their character. Studying past actions can help us anticipate future ones, proving advantageous in personal and professional relationships. We then delved into the law of covetousness, learning that contentment and strategic positioning can help mitigate envy and foster cooperation. Through the law of short-sightedness, we understood the perils of impulsive decisions and the value of long-term thinking in cultivating foresight and patience. The law of defensiveness showed us how tactful criticism and common goals can disarm defenses, facilitating smoother interactions and effective communication. The law of self-sabotage made clear that acknowledging and overcoming internal resistances are instrumental in fostering personal growth and achieving our true potential. Finally, the law of repression, envy, and grandiosity taught us the importance of self-awareness, control, and balance in maintaining personal well-being and social harmony. These laws are not merely philosophical musings, but practical guidelines that can help us improve our decision-making, relationships, and personal growth. They serve as a roadmap to understanding ourselves and others better, and in doing so, navigating life with more wisdom and grace. Remember, understanding and applying the laws of human nature can significantly improve our lives and relationships.